Hey everybody, Gradigy here, and I'm back because I got internet's back, yay! And you're probably not used to seeing my face, and you may not see it too many times, but this time you will because I'm going to be going over the new Powers and Ability card and the rule books for Heroclix that came out with the Blackest Night starter set. There's not been a terrible amount of changes as far as gameplay goes. They've not really added anything terribly difficult to understand or hampered anything. But there has been some rewordings and just some rules alterations. Nothing too big. I'm pretty pleased with how little they changed between rule books. Firstly, something that's a little easy, or a little bit easier for you guys to see, that makes it easier for everybody, is they've put the abilities, like Flight and Transporter and stuff, in the Powers and Abilities card, which just makes sense because it's Powers and Abilities, and they've never had abilities. And here it's just always been powers. So, and they've also put what they do. So all of that is now in the PAC, the Powers and Abilities card. Which again, it's just been powers until now, so it never made a whole lot of sense. We'll just go over what they've changed with those first. They've really only changed two things. One was with Move and Attack. What they did with Move and Attack is, used to, it just said you got to move and attack. Pretty simple. You gave yourself a move action. You moved your full movement, and then at any point during that movement, you got to make a close combat attack or a ranged combat attack, but at a -2 to your attack value. Now, that's pretty good. But what they changed it to is they made it to where Move and Attack now just gives you hypersonic speed. At a -2 to your attack value still, and you don't have to have your range on range combat attacks. The upside to that, I think, outweighs the downside. The upside to that is that you break away automatically now during Move and Attack. You can break away, attack somebody else, and keep going. For those people who aren't normally able to do that, like Black Knight, I don't think does that, but I can't think of a whole lot of transporters. I'm not a big fan. I know a lot of people like Lockjaw, but he has phase, so he didn't have to worry about that. But the downside is if you're playing against someone that uses Kid Zoom, that now nulls your Move and Attack because it's using hypersonic speed, and Kid Zoom's special power says that he's the only one on the field that can use hypersonic speed. So, but how often are you going to fight Kid Zoom whenever you're just using a transporter? I don't know how often Kid Zoom is actually used. We kind of frown upon his use very often at our venue. But, you know, out there he may be used every day. You may see him every week. I don't. Thank God. But I don't use hypersonic that much. And then the other is just a change in the wording for Indomitable. Used to, it would just say you didn't take push damage. That way you would get around the push damage you took from feats such as Haymaker or Nova Blast, because it just said that it ignored powers and team abilities. The power being willpower and the team ability being quintessence or power cosmic. So Indomitable would soak that push damage. Now Indomitable just gives you willpower, which is an upside because now you get to use all those feat cards that have willpower as a prerequisite, but now you take push damage from Haymaker, Nova Blast, feats like that. So that's pretty much it for abilities. But powers, they haven't changed a lot. In fact, I can't think of anything major that they changed. The only thing that they've really added in is the locked value term. That means that a locked value can't be modified or replaced anymore. Well, it might be able to still be replaced. I'll have to look at that. But you can't modify it. And the only one that they really apply that to is Blades Claws. You just roll a d6, you do your Blades Claws damage, and you can't be modified. So instead of it just saying it can't be modified, they've just simplified it to being a locked value. It's easier that way for everyone. It uses less printing. That's ink saving. And I believe that's it as far as powers go. Someone said that there was a big change to super strength, but I looked at it and I didn't see any difference in the practicality of its use, so I'm not going to bring that up. But as far as team abilities, since this is the DC team ability sheet, they did change the way Injustice League team ability works. Used to, if two adjacent Injustice League team people were next to somebody, they could both attack him and it wouldn't count towards your total move pool. So it was kind of like Avengers but for attacking, and you had to have two of them adjacent. Now you can do that as ranged attacks too, so that's kind of useful. And there was, I think there was some other minor modifications, but I think that's the only major one, and that's just helping it because they found it wasn't being used enough. People were complaining about its lack of usefulness. And as for actual rules, like I said, there's not been a whole lot of rule changes either. Just the locked values that makes it to where nothing can be modified beyond that. Like if you had just a regular replacement value, you could modify it further. Like if you were using the say Fantastic Four alternate team ability, that's a popular one, and sharing your defense. You can share that defense between all your characters, but if at some point they eroded the Fantastic Four alternate team ability where it became a locked value, you wouldn't be able to modify it any further than just it being replaced. And let's see. Another thing that they've kind of clarified on is the difference between use and possess for traits. A lot of people just say you simply can't outwit traits. That's not true. You can't if you use it. Like on Venom, he can use Leap Climb. And Power Girl can use Super Strength, so can Thor. They can all use those abilities. They don't possess them. So you can't outwit it because they don't actually possess it, because you can't outwit what isn't there. So they're just able to use that ability. But, and this is, I think, the only instance where this holds true, is Batman and Green Arrow possess the Sharpshooter ability. You can outwit that because they possess it. So that gives them, actually they possess the Sharpshooter symbol, and that gives them the Sharpshooter ability. So that means you can outwit the ability that's given to them by the symbol in their trait. So that's just kind of clarified on. And another thing is wild cards have been changed. You can now change your wild card team abilities every action, as long as what you're changing it to doesn't make the action illegal. And another thing that I think is the only instance of this happening is with Batman. The Batman team ability, if you're being targeted as the target of a ranged combat attack, and as part of that action you change your wildcard team ability to Batman ally team ability, that would make that action illegal. So you can't do that. But say you were in Justice League for some reason. You picked Injustice League or Avengers or something like that, and you got targeted as an attack. You'd say, well, now I'm Mystics. You're going to take Mystics damage if you hit me. But they have to go through with that action. So they've announced their action. You say, okay, well, I'm changing to Mystics for this action. So you can change that every action. I think that's all that I'm going to go over right now. I'll take another look through the rules and the powers, and I may make a part 2 to this video. So keep an eye open. If there's anything that you think needs clarified, shoot me a message, leave me a comment. Just do something, and I'll try to clarify. So thanks a lot, guys. Hope you didn't suffer too much looking at my mug. Play on.